When Emperor Sadid al-Rashid discovered that her only daughter, Layla, fell in love with Omar, a young lad who came from a poor family, he decided to put an end to the romance and sentenced Omar to death. Although it was not quite the response Layla was hoping for, she managed to soften her father's heart, and the emperor agreed to spare Omar's life if he beat him at his favorite game, Barakka. Omar accepted the challenge with one clever condition. He chose to sit at the table with his back towards the desert's rising sun, while the emperor was facing the blinding rays. Needless to say, Sadid al-Rashid could not properly concentrate on the game and was defeated by Omar. The young man won his life back, later married Layla, and became an illustrious emperor who popularized Barakka and created further variants for it. Hi and welcome to Ollie Plays a Lot. My name is Ollie. Today we will learn how to play Barakka, a competitive set collection and memory game for 1 to 2 players created by Szöllősi Péter and published by Vagabund. First we will prepare the game, then go through the gameplay and scoring, and finally talk about the game variants and the solo mode. To set up the game, place the player board in the middle of the play area. Put the pink and the El Portugués cards and Barakka tiles and the Desert Rose Barakka tiles in the box because they will not be used in the base game. Create the draw deck by shuffling the remaining cards and placing them face down on the left side of the player board. Create 2 discard piles by drawing 2 cards from the top of the draw deck and placing them on the other 2 spaces of the player board. Place 2 Barakka tiles of each color next to the draw deck. Decide the start player randomly. You are ready to play. In Barakka, players will take turns alternatively. On your turn, you will draw cards from either of the 3 decks and place it either in your personal tableau or one of the 2 discard piles. By doing so, you can earn Barakka tiles. The game ends when the draw deck gets depleted. You and your opponent count your points earned from the flawless sequences and the gathered Barakka tiles, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. On your turn, you must draw a card either from the draw deck or one of the 2 discard piles. If the draw deck gets depleted, it means that this is the last turn of the game. If a discard pile gets depleted, immediately flip a card from the draw deck in the empty space. After drawing, you have 2 options. Your first option is to discard a card by placing it on top of any of the 2 discard piles in such a way that you completely cover the other cards. Your second option is to play the card in front of you. If this is the first card of its color, start a new sequence with it. If there is at least 1 card of its color, then display the newly acquired card on top of the sequence, hiding the number written on the bottom card, but keeping the number of cards visible. Once hidden, the cards cannot be looked at until the end of the game and must be memorized. All played cards must be kept in a vertical position and at an equal distance from each other at all times, and you cannot use any method to keep track of the number on the cards. Keep in mind that the card sequence can consist of 5 cards at most, so after playing a 5th purple card here, you are not allowed to play any more purple cards throughout the game. As soon as you have a 5-card sequence of a certain color, you receive the corresponding Barakka tile and have to place it under the sequence. Cards are numbered from 1 to 5, and there is a joker card which can represent any one number. Your goal is to have 1 card of each number in a sequence, and the numbers do not have to be arranged in ascending or descending order. After completing these 2 steps, your opponent starts their turn by drawing and then playing a card. Continue this until the draw deck gets depleted. Finish the current player's turn and calculate the final score of each player. In the scoring phase, analyze each sequence separately. A sequence is considered flawed if it contains cards of different colors. Luckily, you got that rule right from the get-go. A sequence is also considered flawed if it doesn't contain a number 1 card in it. This is the case of the yellow sequence. The purple sequence is okay because the joker card can substitute the missing number 1 card. And finally, a sequence is also considered flawed if it contains 2 or more copies of the same number or joker card. In our case, the red sequence contains 2 joker cards. All flawed sequences and the Barakka tiles associated with them should be discarded as they will not grant points. Now analyze each flawless sequence separately. Arrange the cards in ascending order based on their numeric value. Check the number of cards of consecutive values starting with card number 1 and receive points based on this table. The purple sequence consists of the following cards: Joker, 2, 3, and 4. so it will grant 8 points. The green sequence consists of cards number 1, Joker, and 4, so it will grant 2 points for this 2-card sequence. And finally, the blue sequence will grant 10 points because it is a complete set. Each scored Joker card will grant additional points equal to the number it substituted. 1, 2, and 4 in our case. Finally, analyze the number of Barakka tiles that you have and score the square of that number. 1 at the first power equals 1 point. If you had 2 Barakka tiles, then you would have earned 4 points. Your final score is 28 points. 20 for the flawless sequence, 7 for the Jokers, and 1 for the Barakka tiles. Compare the score to your opponents, and whoever has the most is the winner. In case of a tie, play another game to decide the winner. And now you know all the rules for Barakka and can start playing. In the following minutes I will explain the game variants, which bring a couple of changes to the flow of the game, and the solo mode. At the start of the game, decide on which variant or variants you want to add to the game. In the Philosophy of El Samra variant, you need to include at least 1 Joker in each of your sequences. Fail to do so, and the sequences that do not contain a Joker will be considered flawed and must be discarded at the start of the scoring phase. In the Cherished Treasure of Sadid Al-Aziz variant, you need to prepare only 1 Barakka tile of each color instead of 2 during setup. Shuffle them and place them slightly shifted on each other, like this. The tiles beneath the top tile cannot be acquired, so you need to time the finishing of your sequences accordingly. When you finish a sequence matching the color of the topmost tile, take the tile and place it under the sequence. Be aware that in this variant, tiles can be stolen. If you finish a sequence matching a Barakka tile that your opponent has, take it from them and place it under your newly finished sequence. In the Bravery of El Karim variant, place the Desert Rose Barakka tile next to the others. You have to place the first card of your sequences face down. You can no longer take a peek at it and must remember its number and color. Make sure to show the card drawn from the draw pile to your opponent before placing it face down. The rest of the cards of the sequences should be placed according to the normal rules. The first player to start 5 sequences receives the Desert Rose Barakka tile. Remember that in the scoring phase, the sequences that contain cards of different colors are flawed and must be eliminated. At the end of the game, if all of their sequences are flawless and complete, the Desert Rose Barakka tile is evaluated following the rules of the base game. If any of the sequences is flawed or incomplete, the Desert Rose Barakka tile gives a 10-point penalty to its owner. In the Balance of El Bazir variant, shuffle the 12 pink cards into the base game deck and place the 2 associated Barakka tiles next to the others. The game proceeds according to the normal rules, but if you complete the pink 5-card sequence, you do not receive its Barakka tile, but have to give it to your opponent. Luckily, in the scoring phase, the pink sequence is evaluated according to this table, so 1 card descending sequence would bring 1 point, 2 cards, 2 points, 3 cards, 5 points, and so on. In the Intrigue of the Portuguese variant, shuffle the 5 El Portuguese cards into the base game deck and place the associated Barakka tile next to the others. If you draw and play an El Portuguese card, take its Barakka tile, regardless if it is in the supply or in front of your opponent, and place it under the card. This way, the El Portuguese Barakka tile will change ownership throughout the game. Notice that these cards are not numbered, so the sequence is considered flawed only if there is another color included in it besides light blue. In the scoring phase, evaluate all cards as normal and the El Portuguese cards according to this table. You would receive a penalty for having 1 or 2 El Portuguese cards, 0 points for having 3, and get compensated for having 4 or more. The associated Barakka tile is scored as normal. When playing solo, shuffle the cards and create 2 draw piles of 30 cards each on these 2 spaces of the board. On your turn, you must draw 1 card from both draw piles and either discard both cards or choose 1 to keep and 1 to discard. The discarded cards are eliminated from the game and you are not allowed to draw them. The game ends when both draw piles are depleted. Count your points according to the normal rules, and if you have achieved a new high score, then you win. If you want to increase the difficulty of the solo game, you can include 1 or more of the previously mentioned variants. And that is everything you need to know to play Barakka, a game designed by Szöllősi Péter and published by Vagabund. If you have any questions regarding the game, feel free to put them in the comments and I will gladly answer them. If you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for similar content if you haven't done so. My name is Ollie, and you have been watching Ollie Plays a Lot. Until next time, keep in mind to sit with your back towards the sun and play a lot. Bye!